Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. You know, I send that in all the time, but rarely do I get to hear it read. I might cut that down because that was just a whole bunch of, we don't even know all that necessarily. But good to be here, especially surrounded by wonderful art up and down these hallways, and the connection of art and poetry is obvious. We don't need to say a whole lot about it. But when I got back to Maryland a few years ago, having been away for a number of years, and I moved back, and at the time there was an event that was being held at the UB Blake Center, and it was called Interpretation Sundays, and we had the opportunity to take a look at whatever art exhibit was going on at the time and write to the art, which was a very fun challenge. It definitely was a challenge to be able to formulate right away some words and some thoughts around the particular pieces. But it was a very enjoyable challenge. There was an artist who had a photo exhibit on a trip that he took to Cuba. And dynamic black and white photographs of Cuban life. And in that exhibit was a particular photo of a child, a very young girl, young Afro-Cubana, and she was holding a doll. And that sent me a couple different places. No, I'm not doing that poem. She got excited. There was another, I know you did. There's another particular piece of art also that I am going to go with today. It was a painting of Dr. King done by a young lady named Cho, creating her own kinetic energy. And Dr. King's lines were faded kind of in and out, very blurry, and there's kind of a haze of colors over them, so forth and so on. I'm telling you this for two reasons. One, to challenge you to write some poetry. Perhaps as you walk through these walls, perhaps as you continue to enjoy the exhibit, challenge yourself to maybe drop a poetic word on one or two of the pieces that you speak. It's a very fun challenge. Secondly, I'm telling you that because that particular painting just gave me ingress, just gave me a good reason to kind of vent some thoughts that I had in terms of the movement and the way this country views the movement and Dr. King and black folk and so forth and so on. This is called Dream Fade. So everyone was on a rainbow high, caught up in the swirl of all the colors that were to unfurl evenly. Dream of it. Promising you and me that society would be as it should be. That we could all be together on life's playground and that everybody would play real nice. Thing is, we got played real nice. Let ourselves get caught napping so heavily that the dream got blurred and the wisdom of the dream weaver got obscured. And in our grogginess, we miss how much our dreams been abjured. Our king decreed that we should be vigilant and heed his warning sent from the court of a Birmingham jail and scribed in why we can't wait. But it seems we waited things out long enough to let the enemies at the gate attack our royal sage, assuaging us by promoting him to demigod and thus enrolling him in his prophetic power. We nod, dozing, while a still hateful world has us join hands and say, I have a dream, while ignoring the edgier incisiveness of the dream. You see, their scheme was brilliant. Have us happy for a holiday and placate us with a few morsels of rights, while right in front of our eyes they continue to feast on elaborate systemic racism and extravagant economic exploitation, discarding justice as waste for disposal, washed away with the watered-down view of Martin. A sad reality in a supposed dream world. Reality is, you don't hear them holler in support of our support of black dollars. With stealth, they suppressed the wealth ML wanted us to build, undercutting our understanding of the Ujamaa in his urgent calls for unified action. You don't hear abundant accolade for his address of April 4th, 67, a year to the day before a bullet sent him to heaven for denouncing the hell this country raised in Southeast Asia. They rather keep us dreaming in fantasia than for us to wake up, knowing that it's time to break silence. Public perception is stuck on the steps of the memorial. Memorialized, i.e. dead, or so it would seem. Thus, I have a dream, deferred. Not that I'm not proud of the spectacular speech in front of that crowd. Indeed, it's good to see the props our leader and elder so deservedly receives. However, we're deceived if we think his fuller message of equality is fully believed or if such is even close to having been achieved. So be careful of hollow hosannas and loosely thrown laudations. Not everyone who says of him, Lord, Lord, wants to enter the kingdom. Still, For a few days every middle of January, we get inundated with effusive exclamations and empty exaltations about keeping the dream alive from a society that continues to kill it, keeping itself exempt from any responsibility to fulfill it, while those non-exempt from being the other work hard with no benefits of privileged status. So while the privileged deify the drum major for justice, they keep folk dragging their feet to the drone of a conformist beat that drums into our heads a dumbed-down version of the radical stride toward freedom he led us on. Of course, we do have MLK boulevards across the urban landscape. Some in areas so horrific that the honoree would cringe at the dishonorable conditions he sought to eradicate. He would hate the under-resourcing of many schools bearing his name. Elementary inequities and line items and allotments help create a secondary education so exiguous of equal footing that the erudite ecclesiastic would eschew the eponymous engravings upon the edifices. Yet, when we declare our continued concern about our continued confinement to the lower caste, we are condescendingly told, "Oh, that was cute. Now run along and play. We have more important things to do, like control the wealth and build our empire. Why don't you go build a campfire and sing Kumbaya, my Lord? Just don't come around here, my Lord. I wonder when we'll be free at last for falling for the false reverence these felons feign to offer the reverend, fronting just far enough to finagle our fortune and finagle their fingers into our fortune. Unfortunately, the chaos in our community accommodates such fraud because we fail to focus on where we go from here." He said, "I may not get there with you, but we as a people will get to the promised land. Seems we landed on promises, setting for a promissory note from a nation that promised us a story denoted by justice, but instead wrote more bad checks because we still don't receive much credit in this union. So here's a reality check. Our dream is the oppressor's nightmare because sharing the power and the purse scares them to death, and so they make sure we stay asleep, deep in REM stage as they stage peaceful scenes for our matrix, making us think we've made it and that Martin's work is done. Everybody was on a rainbow high, caught up in the swirl while those who have no love for the beloved community loved watching it crash low. We better act like we know. The only way our dream will become reality is for us to wake up and get real. Somewhere through the haze, a prophet still points the way forward. Maybe we'll get the point and keep moving." One of the fun things about doing that piece is that its primary audience is the rest of the African diaspora. Its larger audience is everybody. So I will include everybody in this room. So you kind of get the dual experience of kind of listening in on a fishbowl conversation and also letting it challenge you, challenge us collectively where we are as a society. Obviously, it's quite timely given the events of the past 7 days. It's more timely than ever. So this little thing right here is a small booklet of poetry. There are 8 poems in it, 8 justice kind of conscious related poems. The one I just did is in here. It's called Somewhere Through the Haze. It is only $8. So for $8,
only $8.
Only $8.
I was late.
I'm sorry.
You know, we are late. We wrong.
Still love it. Don't worry about them. Just take the book home. If you use it, I'd love to hear some feedback in terms of, is it that conversation started? Can you press some people on it? Use it as your place of worship at your job over there. Things like that. Now, how many of you here are familiar with and have ever been to Red Emma's Bookstore and Coffee House? Good. I have a whole bunch of Red Emma's people here. That's good. The reason that's good is because it's a wonderful place to be. You can buy dope books, you can get excellent food, that type of thing. But it is particularly good to be there, and it will be good to be there a week from tonight, February 4th. Get there at 6:30 because we do something called Red Emma's Mother Earth Poetry Vibe. Red Emma's Mother Earth Poetry Vibe. You say, analysis, what is the vibe? That's where it's all about peace, justice, and poetry. That's where you can get on the open mic, hear others on the open mic, listen to what is always an excellent feature. Next Saturday will be no different because my friend, my colleague in poetry, Angelique Palmer, is coming up from Nigeria. You do not want to miss this experience. So if you have electronic devices and you look up Mother Earth Poetry Vibe right now, you will come to it. If you need like a more physical reminder, old school, we have that right here also. But because I really like you all, I even brought out menu. So you go ahead and plan what you're going to chow down on and smash on.
And they really have good food.
There you go. I mean, y'all know. Y'all already down and ready, so you know what's up. So make sure you see me about that. Follow me on Twitter at AnalysisThePoet, Facebook.com/AnalysisThePoet. If you follow me there, not only will I give you information about what happens next Saturday, you can get information about what happens next Friday also. As a matter of fact, if you see this dear young lady who goes by the name of Simply Sherry, she has flyers about a thing called Heard Through the Grapevine. It's not quite the justice consciousness pieces at the Grapevine. As a matter of fact,
completely not.
we get like kind of downright like love erotica and downright halfway lascivious at that particular event. That's coming Friday on Pratt Street at Peace and the Cup of Joe. We have wine and things, so check us out on that. Cool?
The analysis.
Yes.
I have a Facebook page called Baltimore Rights.
Baltimore Rights.
WRIT.
It's a group.
Yes, it's a group.
So you
it's
all can
open, so if you want to join it, just join it, and then you'll be able to post stuff. And
Join it. I'm in there. I have not posted it yet in there, but I'm in there. Good. All right. So, having said all of that, everybody's milling around, everybody's enjoying the art. Many of you don't know me, some of you do, one way or the other. Perhaps with all of that having been said, introductions are in order. I am the genesis of an informative adventure of the highest order, leading you on an exodus across the border of your college to the frontiers, but don't worry. I'm no coyote exploiter. I'm just not resigned to let you loiter in some arid state of mind. It seems that in these times there encroaches an increasing desertification of critical thought, a disturbing tendency. Thus, I'm empowering you to reconnoiter the traps of the enemy. This is no time to loaf on a mental sofa, withering away. It's time for Sankofa. Let's journey into the past and gain insight for the future as I drop knowledge that heals your wounds like sutures closing gashes, making you feel new. And if I challenge you a bit, well, that's okay too. Because I'm, yeah, dangerous like the mountain. So don't step untrue and miss these hooks of wisdom provided for you, like the Library of Alexandria or the schools of Timbuktu. For I am the African, brown like the rich earth our ancestors sowed, told. Hera! Halela Balaman Yasoto. Derek Ebert, poet laureate type of person. Could you press pause on the poem, please? Pause the poem. Thank you. Hold that right there. I need you. So, we must stop the poem because we must learn a new language from Southern Africa. What's not new has been around obviously for centuries, but it might be new to you. It's called Sasulu. So, as loud as you can, you're going to repeat after me. You ready?
Yeah.
Everybody get loose? Okay, here we go. Hey now.
Hey now.
Halela Bama.
Halela Bala.
Man Yasoto.
Man Yasoto.
That's not bad. We got to remember what happened, but that's not bad for the first time. That means, hey, don't forget the name of Brown. Now, we're going to try it one more time, but instead of Soto at the end, what are you going to say?
Sherry. My name.
You're going to say your name. She's going to say her name. He's going to say you're going to say your name. Because nobody should be forgetting either your name or who you are as a person, correct?
Correct.
All right, so at the end of it, you're going to say your name. Everybody ready?
Yes.
Y'all ready to back?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Hey now.
Hey now.
Halela Bala.
Halela Bala.
Man Yasoto.
Man Yasher.
Derek. Wait, no, wait. No.
Get him.
Man, I need you to be proud of your name and who you are. So we're going to try this one more time. At the end, you're going to put your name on. Ready? Right. Hey now.
Hey now.
Halela Bala.
Halela Bala.
Man Yasoto.
Man Yasher.
There you go. There you go. That's better. Don't let people forget who you are. Where was I on this? Where was I? Up here? Further back? Right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Eben. Zoom. Like a poetic Zorro, I slash my mark as my words cut deep into the senseless denseness of aristocrats' defenses as they cower tense and hide behind fences. Their offenses reeking with the stenches of greed as they grip the poor and clench like wrenches. And dare I mention that my declensions suffer no declension as I free from detention the denotation of words and phrases that serve as detonation and false declarations denoted by a declination of diligent disposition. For many, it is beyond their ken how I can wield such power like a literary kindred. Fools who step wrong to the words of kindred soon their miscalculation. I design communication for any situation. I'll lay it down smooth with a line you'll adore, or break it down plain and simple, almost hardcore. Rather like sex that way.
Dirty? You dirty.
Yeah, I am. But it is, across its myriad spectrum, sometimes romantic with passionate clutches and caresses so mild, sometimes straight up raw, freaky and buck wild. You see, with me, one way or another, your mind will discover the scintillating excitement of the orgasmic enlightenment I will help you experience. Serving indictment with tales so trite, meant to subject your spirit to conservative confinement. I'm fun and playful, like a kid Saturday morning. A little crazy, sometimes kind of weird, but never boring. Alluringly calm like those warm Russell sunsets on those Chesapeake eves, offering solace in a safe space, alighting upon you like a cool breeze. I'll cause you to get a good book and read and snuggle, rekindling your interest in the struggle. Mystical and magical, I am the incarnation of the both and, refusing polarizations that would restrict who I am or am supposed to be. So come with me and be free. I'm a teacher, yet still junior to those who've taught, who've set the example from which I ought sample and learn. Why I strive to earn the right to leave this plane, leaving it more just than when I came. Perfection not claimed, mind and soul maimed by a racist, classist society that attempts to keep us tame. Still escaping mental subjugation, returning to what the self should be. 4 directions bringing healing winds to me. Inviting all people of color to make it a priority to discard our complex of inferiority and follow the drinking gourd to that freedom-giving revelation that we are a chosen nation, chosen to be who we are as God's creation. Likewise, inviting all those of the dominant group to recoup what you've lost through this superiority syndrome throwing you for a loop. Let's work together to build a new equation which balances the divine equation and allows us to live in unfettered elation. Yeah, I'm that athlete who defies the years, a friend with whom to cry your tears. I'll five you when you reach new tears, expand your world into brand new spheres. Determined, improbable. Vision, unstoppable. Might bend but won't topple. On a mission can possible, so listen to each offering I proffer you as my midrashim illume away in view. We'll commune in a way more true. Come now, for all things are ready for your soul to be renewed. Tell your friends about this, and make sure you don't miss this chance to feel the bliss as I dismiss all mental paralysis and raise your level of critical
analysis.